Alright folks, so with most every video I make, it just starts off with an idea, something I'm thinking about, and then I either get up to something, or I feel like talking about something, but this is no different. Clearly, this to me has been a pretty surprising guitar. Both in the way it plays and how it sounds. And it is beginning to beg a question I've long had about guitar tone. How are we doing there? Okay. Nope, that's no good. Why can't I just put this fucking camera down somewhere? Because lighting sucks. Lighting fucking videos sucks. Alright, here we go. Okay, hang on. Hang on, we're almost there. See me and the guitar? No. Okay, so I want to talk about this guitar because it's begging a few questions that I've had in my tiny little brain for a long time. I've always been curious about that woody old tone that old guitars seem to have, and I've always wondered, Jesus, is that just the amp? Is it the way the guy's playing it? Is it the guitar? You know, what is that sound? What is that? Hard to put your fingers on, but I know it when I hear it, and this is it. This is in open G, by the way. I had this tuned to open G the other day. I was messing around. I'm not a very good slide player, but it's something I've always been interested in, playing slide. I've never stuck with it long enough to try and make any sense of it, but it is fun to do. So this guitar has that tone. It has, to me, that woody sort of, it feels like you're banging on wooden strings. And it has that sound to me, whether it's plugged in or whether it is played like this, acoustic. Like, listen to that. Okay, so I should probably tune this up to standard tuning, but it doesn't really matter. The point is that it sounds exactly the same plugged in. Oh, right, open G. Okay, I can't play anything in open G. So, anyway, it doesn't matter what position you play this in, it has that distinct, it doesn't matter who's picked this guitar up for me. I've now had 3 different people play this guitar, it sounds the same. So when people give you that argument, oh, it depends on how you're playing it, and how you're this and how you're that, no, that's bullshit. Guitars each, to me, personally, have their own distinct tone, quite apart from the tone that's produced by a certain player. Yes, I will concede that a player has his own distinct sound. Like a player, I'm going to sound like me no matter which guitar I pick up. I will concede that, but you, I think, on the other side of it, have to concede that each guitar has its own distinct tone no matter who picks it up or who's playing it. And so that's what I'm talking about. This guitar has its own distinct tone, and to me it's like that sort of woody, really like old, sounds like it's old and beat up and like it's being forced through, you know, like an old beat up box. That's the only way I can think to describe that tone. And so again, it doesn't matter what amplifier I plug this into, it has its own distinct flavor. So what I'm curious about is, how do they make that happen? That's what I really want to know. I want to know what's going on here. I really, for once and for all, want to know, how are they making that happen? So sorry I'm such a shitty player, but I think you get the idea that like even those lower notes, listen to the register of those lower notes. To me, that sounds like you're beating it up through an old wooden box. And that's what I'm curious about. This is, you hear this tone now and again, and usually I've heard it with like older guitars. In fact, in particular, one that sticks out in my mind is a video that I've seen where Angus Young is giving like a guitar lesson or something like that, and he's beating on an old SG, and it has that, like, it sounds wooden. Some people say, oh, it's the amp. Some people say, no. To me, it's that guitar. To me, it sounds like it's that guitar. And this is what I'm talking about, because none of my other guitars sound like this through this amplifier. None of my other guitars sound like, the common theme is not me, the person who's playing it, or the amplifier in this case. In this case, I really feel like that has its own distinct flavor that no matter who picks it up, or what amp it's played through, or how it's played, or what kind of music you're playing on it, or how aggressively, or you know, sorry, fuck, open tuning, that was really stupid. See? Like, even gently, just feels like it's being forced through an old wooden box. And I want to know how that's happening. I want to know what is making this guitar sound that way. Surely it cannot be these pickups alone. Right? And we've all said yes, it's everything connected to the strings, and there's been lots of, you know, there's been lots of back and forth on everybody's channel about the tone wood debate, which is not the purpose of this video. I don't give a fuck about the tone wood debate. I'm just really curious, personally, why does this guitar sound this way? I really like that it sounds that way. I really like that old woody beaten up. Fuck, I should retune this. I'm gonna retune this because it's driving me crazy. Okay, that's much better. I've been messing around with this little blues piece in my mind. You probably heard me play it a bunch of times. I can't get it out of my mind. This is, I don't know if this happens to you. This is a little sidetrack in this, but I get melodies running through my head, and I'm finally starting to get to a level where I can actually play them through instead of just feeling like I can hear them in my head. This is one of them. this middle finger still really hurts. It's been weeks. Anyway, yeah, that's a little like bluesy type thing that I've just, this melody's been running through my head for ages. But it's a good, the reason I'm playing it is not to show off, but to show what I can hear, I really hope is coming through, because even recorded poorly on my camera, I can hear it. I can hear, even poorly recorded on this camera or poorly recorded on my phone. You cannot blame the tone of this guitar on any of those external factors. Those external factors aside, it has a distinct tone that you can pick out of a lineup, is what I'm talking about. And so without getting into the Tonewood debate, because literally I could give, if I gave less of a fuck about the Tonewood debate, I would probably be in a coma. So personally, I'm curious about, I think personally the answer is that there's a recipe going on here. A recipe of pickups, wood, construction. I think that there's a recipe going on here that is contributing to that overall sound of this guitar. And while the pickups might be largely responsible for most of what you're hearing, I don't think that there's any denying to most guitar players that guitars have each their own distinct personality. You know, even two, because I have had two of the same model of guitar, many or more than two of same model of guitar. And even if we blame some of these, you know, external differences, you can't really. When you get right down to it, this has its own characteristic. Like I'm certain that I could probably swap these pickups out and probably maintain a similar characteristic and tone of how this guitar sounds. So, I don't know, what do you guys think? Because I've now personally swapped out many dozens of pickups in many dozens of guitars, and that's the conclusion I've come to, is that yes, you can change, you can certainly slightly change or alter, well, not more than slightly, but overall, I have found, even with radical changes, that a guitar still sort of maintains some of its characteristic. That I personally feel like that's what I've discovered, that I didn't go looking for that, that's the conclusion I've come to without having any predetermined bias one way or the other. That the conclusion I've come to with all the guitars that I've laid my hands on in the last few years, and all the work that I've done to various guitars, that there's some characteristic that is maintained with a guitar, even if you swap out its electronics and some of its components. Yes or no? What do you guys think? And this woody tone, if anybody really truly knows what this is, I wish they would make a video. I really would. And that's not to, like, don't misunderstand, Will and Duncan are both, I consider, friends of mine, so I'm not saying this to disparage them in any way. I love those guys. But there's got to be more to the story. For me, there has to be, personally. I guess maybe that's going to make me unpopular, but I don't know. It's just the personal conclusion that I've come to, so maybe I'm crazy.